rebuilding confidence, and harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zymet.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Beverly Zymet Show, where being the best you has just gotten easier. My guest today, calling in from San Diego, California, is Seema Batril. Did I catch that? Batil. Oh, see, I knew it. Okay. So, Seema, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to have a blast here today. Are you all ready to go?
Yes. Hey, Beverly. Thank you for having me here.
So, great. So, Seema, what do you do out there in San Diego, California?
I am a content marketing strategist and a mom of two. And the reason I became a content marketing strategist from being a software engineer is because I got married and moved to the US, and you know the visa and work issues that we
Oh my
have
goodness,
here.
yeah.
So I decided to not waste my time and start a family. Once I had my kids, I realized I cannot pay the attention that I have been paying to my work as a corporate employee now with kids at home. So I know how it works. Like for everything that relates to growth, I would be not considered because I'm a mom. I don't take
Right.
on responsibilities. But when it comes to responsibilities, I would be given those, even though I don't get the promotion, because they can't just pay me. They'll have to give me the work. So I realized corporate is no longer for me. And that is how I started working as a web designer and developer. And over time, when I saw what's happening with designers, that they are having a very hard time getting the right kind of clients who don't use them as pixel pushers, or who are not giving them a hard time when it comes to giving feedback or testimonials or
Right.
revisions, etc. I saw that was a big problem. There was a lot of disconnect. And I realized that that is where I could help them be most, even more than development, because there are other developers, but there are not a lot of people who understand designers and what non-designers see when someone talks about design.
Right.
So I thought I could help them create content that is going to make it easy for them to market themselves. And then, being an introvert myself, I decided my skills are best for introverted people. Like creating content and promoting themselves doesn't come easy for introverts. So
Yeah, it is so true.
yeah, I decided, okay, let me just help people like me who struggled to market myself, to gain visibility. And in a way, I would be doing someone like genuine, helping someone genuinely. It's not just going to be exchange of service or something. And that's how I pivoted from web design to content marketing.
And that is so needed, and thank you for sharing that because it really is critical and it's important. And there are a lot of introverts out there, and now you kind of have to look like everybody's been forced introvert, right? So to speak,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
I have an idea for you. I'm going to throw this out there. I work in the virtual reality world. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it, but yeah, I haven't
But
done
you
a
have
lot
no
of
clue what it
research.
is,
Yeah.
right? Well, virtual reality is actually the avatar world. So it's like the gaming, all
Hmm.
right? Everybody knows it as gaming because it is a gaming platform and that's been around forever. Well, what we've done, my partner and I, we have been working on this for a while, and we were actually had this going before the COVID hit. And then once it did, all of a sudden people were looking for our services because we're taking it to a different level. It's beyond Zoom. A lot of people think this is a virtual thing when in essence it's not virtual, true to virtual, it's remote, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's a great way to connect. I mean, it's thank goodness we had it, right?
Yes,
But now
absolutely.
things have kind of come into the norm of this, and there's summits and every kind of event under the sun that's coming out kind of in this manner. But what we've done on the gaming platform, and that's the platform that we use as the gaming platform, but we are building a different structure there where we're taking it into the education world. So we have schools that are looking at us right now. So we built this massive, what they call worlds out there, right? With the university where you can come in as a student, and you can even use it, in business, because a lot of businesses have to keep up, to keep their licensing and all that kind of stuff. So they have so many months that they have to revisit, and there's new stuff coming out, and so they have to have the training on it. So the university is a really great place to use that in business. But for schools, it gives them the visual where they're actually walking into that universal school type setting. We have auditoriums where everybody can sit out in the auditorium with their little avatars, and it brings people back together. The mindset that happens is, now I'm in a community, I'm in a group, everybody is here. When we're doing a Zoom one-on-one or 2 or 3 on here, it's not so bad. But when you have 10, 15, 30, 50 people on a Zoom, look at the static that happens, right? And people are eating, they're jumping up and down, they're picking their noses, they're right? And you're going to say you're going to have how many students on here, and you want them to pay attention to the teacher? You are not in their element, and they're going to be making faces at themselves in there. They're going to be doing very disruptive. They're going to walk away. It's crazy. So moving into the virtual reality world with that, we keep their attention because now we're in their world of technology. And these little avatars are here, and they can talk to their best friend right next to them. The teacher's up there, they've got their attention, and depending on the class, what's going on, what the teacher is teaching, whether it's history or chemistry or anything, we can take the kids on the field trip. So let's just say today's history lesson is going to be about the Victorian time. We can have a world built out there that's all Victorian. Everybody goes there. So the teacher throws up a portal, all the students run through it, and then he jumps in, or she, and now they're in this Victorian world, and they're in this little setting, and they're looking at what it looked like back in Victorian time.
That is such an amazing concept.
I know, isn't it? So you have these children's attention. And then, so as you're talking and as they're learning and they're going through, it's, there's an overall view of what's going on here. And now you're going to take your students, and they're on their little avatars because it's interactive, totally interactive. Okay, let's go. We're going to go across this bridge. Here's this sign. What does this sign say? And it's like a little quest. So it's almost like you're doing this test at the same time you're teaching. And it says, okay, everybody has to do this before we can go to the next one. So everybody takes their turn clicking on it and doing what that question answer thing was, right? You know how in depth that is. You know how much impact that makes on the mind, the memory.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I can imagine. We read that Michelangelo was a great painter. He painted the Sistine Chapel. No idea what was going on. It was just words. And if you can see it, and understanding improves dramatically right there.
Exactly. Here's the lifetime of these people, right? And then here's the painting, because it looks so real in there. Yes. And so it can be done with the Oculus glasses, which really then immerses you into that 3D. Or if you don't have the glasses, as of yet, you can see it on a PC platform, whatever, but you're still there. Mm-hmm. And so now you have the engagement of all your students. They're not going to get bored. So it doesn't matter what's going on as what you're teaching. It's available to interact with. You got little kids, you talk about the dinosaur era. Now that's something that, is yeah, you get all the little figurines of dinosaurs, but do you really understand it? So let's say you take them into that world, and here's all these dinosaurs, and there's the trees, and there's the swamp, and wherever you go, there's dinosaurs, and then you can ride them if you want to.
Yes.
And then now they're going to learn, they're going to remember what that Tetrasaurus or Octosaurus or whoever saurus it is, right? They're going to know here's the environment but that one lives in, and here's the environment the other one lives in, and they don't cross those environments, right? Here's the food that they ate, and they can actually, and the neat thing in there, you can actually take a picture while you're in there, so you could actually take a picture while you're in that world, and now it just sticks, So it has taken education to another level. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Right?
I can imagine the possibilities are endless.
So how old are your children?
6 and 8.
6 and 8. They're right there. Right there in that world right now. And I hear that California is shutting everything down again. So, hey, we're not very far from August when school was going to be starting again. We're only a few weeks away. Where are your children going to learn? Are they going to be sitting on a Zoom? Are they going to be sitting in an interactive world?
At the moment, it is a Zoom, and I'm concerned. It's not easy to sit and pay attention as an adult. I can drift off, and those are just kids.
You said it right there in a nutshell. That is so true. We can stay on focus with each other because we're talking. But when there's one person talking and everybody else is there trying to listen, and I've been on them myself, and I'm sitting there and I find myself starting to do other stuff, I was like, well, you didn't pay attention, and I'm ready to fall asleep, so you're sitting and your head's going like this because it's like, oh my gosh. But the mind says, what are you doing here just sitting here idle? Because you are. That's the message that's going to the brain. But when you're immersed into the virtual reality worlds, a whole different ball game.
That sounds really amazing.
So when you take your business as you're talking with introverts, and you can take an introvert into a virtual reality, all inhibition drops, everyone is on equal playing ground, say, do whatever you want, and it's been proven in the mental health industry has been using virtual reality for several years now to help people get over phobias and fears and challenges, and and it's really helped bring them up and out of that, and got some of that extrovert out there to where they don't fear in that interaction and stuff. So it's really made a huge difference. So imagine, the work that you're doing, if you could take someone in there, have the classes in there, have them get up on a stage, so doing a group type of thing. Now they're on this big stage and they got all these other little avatar introverts watching them. It's like, hey, I want my turn up there, because it's all the inhibitions have dropped. It's amazing. And then in business, we've also taken where we have a boardroom, because a lot of businesses, places have shut down, offices are shutting down. They're finding that the productivity working from home is still working. But the environment with the Zoom, it's still not that like being in the office setting in a boardroom meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been in corporate.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So you kind of get that. So basically what we've done is we've created that boardroom where they can all be in that room together. And again, they're learning on a different level, because now the mind is saying, okay, pay attention. There's people here. There's someone up there talking, because you can see them, right?
Yes.
It's not idle. There's movement. And the mind picks up on that. Everyone can go to their own little cubicle office. You can build your office however you want it to look, that type of thing. People can, you can come in the boardroom, everybody's sitting around talking, you all have lunch together.
That's something that I'm very confident all of the people are missing, like the interaction, not the work. Yes, you can work. You need that individual attention and focus when you're working, with the interaction that happens, that's missing.
Exactly. So that's kind of where we're going in that world direction. So if you can see where it would make a difference you know. And if you know others, you know, let me know, because we're looking to bring these together. And again, like you said, you're really concerned about your children. How are they going to learn? We are looking at school systems right now, charter schools and different other ones, right? You know, so if you have any connection with the hierarchy, you know, of the schools where you are, and if they're open to looking at something different, we'd love to talk with the ones that are the decision makers and show them what there is to offer.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, because you know, if we don't get the education to the children, they're our future. You know,
Absolutely, yes.
and they're, you know, this is the world of technology, and they are the leaders of it. I had a little 7-year-old on earlier today that was an author. He wrote a book, he wrote a joke book. He wants to bring laughter and joy into people's lives. He doesn't think there's enough of that at 7. So he comes on, and I'm asking him some questions, right? And I said, well, what made you want to write a book? What do you know, what are you looking to grow up for? And so he wrote his book because he wants to sell it and make money to pay for his college. Okay, I get that. I get that. And I said, so what are you going to do in college? Well, he wants to be a coder and an engineer.
Wow.
At 7, it's like, really? Okay. And what does a coder do? So he comes up and he says, well, and he cuts his little arms, you know, and he says, because he goes in Minecraft. Minecraft is another gaming platform.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn codes in there. When you're building, you have to put different codes, right? And it's no different than the platform that we're using. They're just different codes. So he wants to be a coder, and he wants to be an engineer. Well, they kind of go side by side, because you know, you can be an engineer and building in the virtual reality world, as well as building buildings, you know, outside, or you know, whatever, because there's so many different types of engineers. But they all take a code, and a code is nothing more than the game plan.
Instructions,
So
yeah.
this little guy's brain is just going, and I actually took him and his dad into the virtual reality world. And I'll tell you, this little boy was off. And I said, would you like to go to school like this? Because I took him into the university. He goes, yeah, right? And he said, you know, can we do this? Can we do that? And I said, well, let's go over here. So I took him to a couple different places. And I mean, he was so enthralled in just taking him. He said, well, can you go bowling? Sure. I took him into a bowling alley. Oh my gosh. I took him down to the beach, you know, and they said, can we do this? Can we do this? I'd still be on with him. But thank goodness we had to cut it short, because his dad had a call, and so did I. Yeah. So you can imagine what that would do. And this was a 7-year-old. So
I know.
I asked the little guy, I said, you know, do you want to be a spokesperson for me, where you can share with all the kids out there, your age, younger and older, and how much fun it's going to be in virtual reality world to go to school like this? Would you like to do something like that? And he goes, yes. You know,
Of course.
so when you can take a child like that on just a little demo ride, you can imagine what they're going to feel like in a classroom,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Right.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So do you have boys or girls?
Girls.
Girls. Okay. All right. That's, you know, and they're great ages, 6 and 8, beautiful ages.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, that's the time where imagination strikes. It's not that where you're still taking from the world. Now you're creating your own world.
Exactly. And, you know, and to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and, you know, and having a parent that's really open-minded to that, you know, and encouraging it. And I think that's kind of what has been lost over the last few decades, is that encouragement on how to dream and how to make your dreams a reality, right?
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So what do they want to be when they grow up? Have they thought about it?
It keeps changing.
Well, that's
They
good.
wanted to be princesses, then they wanted to be veterinarian and something else. But yeah, it keeps changing.
You know, I think that's probably every girl's little dream, is being a princess, right? And then pretty soon they find out, maybe this princess thing ain't so hot. I need to be a businesswoman, right?
Yes. Oh, yep. Yeah, that's the thing. They want to be like mommy and daddy. They want to be engineers now, but yeah, we'll see. They want
So
to be artists, so it's all over the place.
that's great. And as long as they can keep changing and trying one, try another, because that is all a piece of their personality. And each one of those personalities are what's going to mold them into who they really are, what their identity is,
Yes.
and find their real true purpose that's fulfilling. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So your story of where you started and what you did and how you made the changes, and to be able to work from home and be there now for your children to be at home. And now you got another little hat you got to put on because you're going to be doing a lot of in-home schooling type of things. Granted, the computer is going to do the heavy lifting, but you're going to have to maintain their
Yes,
focus
the
there,
schedule.
and that I think is going to be really one of the greater challenges that parents are going to have, once they put this thing in motion.
Yes, because I can afford to be at home even if my husband has to go back to everyday work like we used to. I can afford to stay at home. Not everybody can do that, and that's where
Yeah.
it's the hardest. Like, yeah, if you need to have somebody to take care of kids at home, even if they are in the virtual school, you need to make sure that they are actually attending and not off doing something else because that's so easy for them
It
to
is.
do.
It's very easy to do. And when they lift their spot on a Zoom or whatever, it's like hello here, right? But so it's that engagement. How do you keep a child engaged? I mean, you think about your attention span. A kid's
I know.
attention span is a lot less than yours.
I
They
know.
see it. They see a shiny object somewhere. Poof, they're gone.
I
Right.
know. I know.
So the engagement, I think, is probably the number one element that schools are looking at. How do we keep them engaged?
Yes.
My youngest grandchild he turned 18 last fall, and he graduated this spring, and he'd been in homeschooling since third grade, and it was online. And the interaction, the students interacted, the teachers interacted, so he had that discipline developed. My daughter, worked from home, and her husband, they made sure because they didn't want him in daycare centers and stuff, so they worked the businesses that they were doing. They could work and choose hours to where he was never left, with babysitters. Now I took care of him for a while when I was in the Vegas area. His other grandma kind of watched him certain hours because there might have been in shifting time and driving time till my daughter started working from home, where and he was getting a little bit older, so he learned the discipline to get on the computer and have that interaction. And I think there was a limit of maybe 10 or 15 kids per classroom. But the nice thing that they had was they had 3 and sometimes 4 field trips every month that they could take their children on, so they leave the classroom and they could actually interact with the same students because they had them in the area of where the kids were. So they could actually interact in live person to person with them, going to different events that actually were part of teaching as well. So they go to like the Renaissance fairs, or they would go to a zoo, or they would go, like in Vegas, they had the dolphin arena they could go and learn about. So it was a learning field trip as well, right? And
Yes, yes. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, so he grew up with that, but not every child is that way.
Yes.
And so again, it's how do you keep that engagement, because you're starting at so many different ages. At third grade, it was a built-in discipline, and he took the responsibility. So there's a lot of pros that go with it, versus cons. But let's just say you got a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, or a 16-year-old, and now you're telling them to sit there and watch this teacher and listen and learn what they had to say, take notes, do whatever. Right. You talk about burnout real fast, right?
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this school year and as it goes. And, how are they going to play catch up? Because that last quarter was like totally lost, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, my kids are in elementary, so I am not really concerned. There's not much to, okay, yeah, there's not much to do. So it's okay. But the high schoolers, especially, they have a tough time.
Right, right. But you still need that foundation, right?
I mean, my kids can catch up, is what I'm saying. But the high schoolers, it's not as
Not as
easy.
easy.
The syllabus is a lot more advanced, which is not easy to catch up. It piles on,
Right.
doesn't reduce like it does for elementary kids.
Yeah, because there's still that repetition that they get in
Yes.
those early grades. That's so true. That's so true. So, Seema, tell us a little bit more about your business and what you do and how it functions and how you've adjusted with that in the home environment.
So I help my clients create a system where they can create content with comfort and ease by using my signature method of educate, nurture, and qualify. I help them create the entire funnel. The problem with the term funnel these days is everybody thinks it's the tool, click funnels or lead pages. It's basically
Exactly.
the focus is
Exactly.
on the web pages, but the actual funnel starts from your content that promotes your free opt-in whatever offer you have, and it also involves the web pages where you accept the emails, where you share more content, you have your webinar or
Right.
whatever, and the emails that follow that nurture the relationship that you build by accepting their email address. And also I help my clients create the entire system with the content that is going to educate and nurture and qualify the people, because you don't just want people coming in millions. You don't want just traffic, you want
Right.
qualified people reaching out to you. So if someone is signing up, it should not be because they just found the freebie useful and nothing else you say matters to them. It should be because you as a whole should attract them, not just the free thing. That's what is
Right.
happening a lot. I see like somebody is selling email templates to create your 365 emails, and that's what I see a lot of people doing. I have created an email template that you can replicate and create all of your email sequences. However, that's not the person's main, it's nowhere related to the person's offer that they have.
Right.
They created the freebie just so they could get people on their email list. And what is that going to do? That's going to make you pay for the email service provider and
Right.
nothing else. You're not going to get
Oh my gosh, I
clients.
so agree with you there. It's like I get so many emails. I am inundated with emails. And finally, it gets to the point. You have 250,000 emails in here. I say, yeah, I think I needed to get a new email address, right? Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many email addresses I have, and a lot of that I don't use anymore. So they're just building up in there because, again, it's like you say, you get on these email lists, and then they keep inundated. Oh my gosh, it's time consuming just to go in there and unsubscribe. And so for me, I don't like to get on an email list because I don't want to have 5 and 6 and 7 and 10 emails a day from somebody. It's like, are you kidding me?
Oh, see, that's another problem. But what I'm saying is, as a business owner, if I start an email list, I have to pay for the service provider.
Right.
Yes, a lot of them have free offer options, but they limit the ability of using.
That's right.
Instead of having like 10,000 people and paying $500 each month, have 500 people pay $10 each month. Out of those 500 people, if even 5 people become your clients each month,
Right.
you're done, you're set. If you have the right pricing, you'll be making more than 6 figures easily with just a few people on your list. And you won't be paying for the tools. So, have the right kind of content makes it easy for you to do that. Just
Right.
creating a lead magnet is not going to help you. It's going to be a loss, not a gain, having so
Right.
many irrelevant people on your email list. So that's what I help my clients understand, and I help them create the lead magnet that is going to upsell their high ticket offer that they have, so
Mm-hmm.
that constantly you're either getting clients or you're creating a pool of potential clients who you can talk to. And as soon as you're free, your schedule is not booked out, and you have space, you can have people get in conversation with you and decide to work with you. So
Right.
I help my clients create the content that helps their audience make the decision of working with my clients, or understanding that this relationship is not working. Let's go to someone where it will work best.
Right. Well, and I think that's probably the greatest struggle that entrepreneurs, that have been entrepreneurs for a long time, or are wannabes, and they can't quite get there, and because of that content, and to be relevant, to zero in on who your signature person is that you're looking for. What's the outcome that you're going to give them, and what are you going to do to reach that point? So it sounds to me like you've really got that zoned in to where you can focus with your clients and say, okay, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of what you have, because the fluff is just that, right? Let's get rid of the fluff. And that's kind of what I teach people, because I'm an identity revelation specialist, right? So I teach you to find the true you. Let's get rid of all the fluff and all the stuff that you're not, so that we can really get into who you are. And when we get into who you are, now you can find your purpose, and now you can spread that word. So it just kind of clicked for me, as what you were saying, to find that content and the zero in on who are you speaking to, and then
Yes.
how do we speak to them, and where do we find their ears, right?
Yes, yes. Like those are the foundational things. Knowing who your ideal client is, knowing who your target audience is. You cannot pick one person when you don't know which is the pool of people that you want to talk to. You cannot talk to everybody and expect, yes, the ones who have been successful, who have been in business for 10 or 15 years, that's what they are doing. And that's what
Right.
all of the beginners see, and they think, I should be like them, so I should do like them. That's not how you start out. That's not how
They didn't
anybody
start
started
like
out.
that. They didn't just also poof and they're up here.
Exactly. They started talking to one person, and when that person paid attention, built a relationship, they talked to 10, and those 10 became 10,000, and now they talk to a billion people. And yes, people are listening, but not everybody is buying.
Right.
People are listening, people are learning, but those who are buying are really a small set of people. That's what these people also focus their most attention on. The everything else is just to make them happy. Like, yes, I want
Right.
to help everybody. My content strategy can help everybody,
But
but
not everybody wants it.
not just it's not just everybody wants it. But when do I feel the most happy? Not when someone who can already manage to create content is using my system. That's helpful. That person doesn't need my one-on-one attention as much as an introvert who is struggling, struggling to uh, get the courage to put out the content they create. That person
Right.
is the is going to benefit the most than somebody else who can listen to a podcast and learn from them, because have they do not have the social anxiety that an introvert has when it comes to talking to people.
Right.
So when I decide what makes me happy, who helping whom would benefit the most, all of that together, the pool is really small then.
Yeah, and when you can zero in and zone in with that few people, right? Again, you're getting that you're getting that interaction and that
Can
attention.
we pause just for one moment?
Sure.
There's the
Gardener or somebody out.
yes, yes, yes.
That's fine. We can talk through it.
Oh, in that case, then fine.
So yeah, that's fine. So I'll have to cut this little section out. So let's take a breath. Just in your mind, count to three, and then we'll start with the conversation again. Okay. So when you look at what you're doing with people and in that guidance in that direction, again, it's just focusing on that select few because those are the ones that are committed to themselves and then they're going to be committed to you in helping them, right?
Absolutely. See, it's not just about making money. Like, yes, that is a benefit of having a business, but it should also make you happy. Otherwise, a job also gives you money and keeps you miserable. What's the point of doing something that you are solely putting your energy into and it doesn't make you happy? So, as a business owner, do something that makes you happy also. And
Right.
for me, I know the struggle, and I do not want my fellow introverts to feel the same struggle that I felt. I want it to be easy for them. I want to be supportive of their struggle and not tell them go talk to 10 people. That's how you can uh, get the clients you want.
Right.
Networking is the way. That doesn't work. It
So,
doesn't work.
so when you talk about the introvert, this is interesting. It's really caught my attention here with an introvert. I mean, I know what it is, right? I know what that means and everything. So, the struggles that you had as an introvert, what would you say are say the top three struggles that introverts have to really overcome to start getting them out of their shell and moving forward to be exposed to the outside world, so to speak.
The first and foremost is fear of being judged.
Oh, okay.
That what will people think? What if I make a mistake? Everybody's going to think of me a certain way. What if I stumble? Nobody will believe that I am the expert. So those are all fear of judgment that comes that like that's the first of it that hits you.
Okay.
When you dig deeper, you realize you have imposter syndrome. It's there for everybody, introverts and extroverts, but the magnitude of it is different for an extrovert. You can, as an extrovert, you can say push through and manage to do it. An introvert with already the fear of judgment about what will people think, you then talk to your own self saying, how can you call yourself an expert? You don't have this, you don't have that, you didn't get a certificate in this, you didn't get a degree in this. So all of that added with what will people say is, oh my god, you haven't even got a certification in this, people will think you're a fraud. That is good enough to stop you from
That's
doing
that
anything.
doubt syndrome, right? It's interesting, that you're what you're saying, and I think a lot of people, and I've worked with clients as well, that judgment thing and that self doubt and the lack of trust and confidence in yourself, I think is extrovert and introvert, but I'm seeing from what you're explaining here the depth of it and how they respond to it. So where an introvert responds differently than an extrovert will kind of just plow through it and fake it till they make it, so to speak. Where an introvert all of a sudden starts this analyzation and beating themselves up and then comes to the justification of why they're not going to do it, right?
Exactly. Add to it, an extrovert gets energy by talking to somebody else. An
Yeah.
introvert, on the other hand, gets energy by being by themselves. So, when you have already expended a lot of energy trying to get over these fears,
Uh-huh.
you're trying to spend more energy when you go out and talk on social media, whether it's a live, whether it's posting your content and replying to comments. it takes energy from us and puts it somewhere else. So you're spending so much energy, it doesn't feel worth it. The fight with yourself. For someone who's an extrovert, when they go and talk to somebody else, even if it's a casual conversation,
Right.
they get energized, and that can give them motivation to plow through further and have business conversations. We're already feeling like an imposter and we already have fear of judgment. Now you're saying that go spend more energy in talking to people. I am going to be salesy. What will people think? Like all she does
Right.
is have sales conversations. You're piling on over the existing fear. So it doesn't feel, it's draining basically. You're exhausted without taking a single action step. Just because you were
You
in
know,
your own
sometimes
head.
that mental is a lot harder work and a lot more tiring than the physical things, you know?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, yeah, there's no escaping. Like physical, you can rest and
Right.
recuperate, but as soon as it's mental, there's no rest. Even when you're asleep, you might be going to bed thinking that and waking up thinking that. So there's really no break from it.
So those three things that are key here, right? What is it that you share with your clients to start that process of overcoming it and getting that doubt out of the way, get those fears out of the way, and get that confidence level back up? So how do you kind of start that engagement processing?
I do not deal with the mindset issues. I am not a mindset coach. That is, I myself am working with a coach to manage all of that. So that's not what I help with. See, the problem was what I faced was after having going through all of that, even if I managed to sit and create content, first of all, I wouldn't know what to write. Second, if I managed to write something and post it, it never got engagement because it was so disconnected.
Right.
So, what I help my clients with, I sit down, create an entire month's posts for them, with them. I don't do it for them, I do it with them. So, we have the content managed. Like, I review the posts that they create. So, we have the content ready. And then I give them a specific schedule to follow, which they can spread or make it follow exactly as is. This specific schedule helps them bring awareness to themselves, helps them express their authority and expertise. It helps, uh, it makes it easy for them to share their offers and services. So all of this is ready. The only thing is to add it to the scheduler, which
Okay.
they can do. So when I have helped them sit and create all of this, I have reviewed, I've told them exactly what kind of things are missing from each of the posts. It makes it easy for them. And my content plan not just teaches things. It's not about how to train and how to teach your audience. That's one part of it. There is a lot of you that you can share, which is hard for them.
Right.
I bring it out of them. Yes, you have opinions. So, what are your opinions? Let's make a list of it. If left to their devices, they might make the list, they might not make the list. But when I'm sitting with them and talking about it, they don't have
They
a
don't have
lot
a
of
choice, right?
it's not just a choice. They don't have a lot of things that they can say to themselves that says this is not good or what will people think.
Right.
When they share their opinion with me and they share their fear about it, I tell them, especially when I started working with designers, I used to tell them, no, a non-designer cannot see the kerning that you're so proud of in the logo. They see a fancy font for which they spent $99 and they think, I could have done this myself.
Right.
So let's not talk about your skills. Let's talk about what it's doing for your clients. So it's not easy for yourself to see all of this. I help my clients see the different view. Yes, this is polarizing thought or this is a controversial thought, but Do you think your ideal clients will get attracted to it or repelled by it? If your ideal clients get repelled, don't share it. It's not going to benefit.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
if it attracts them, forget about the rest who don't like it. They are not going to pay you.
Yes, oh, right there, that is so spot on, right? Don't worry about the people that aren't gonna like it. Concern yourself with the few that do, right? So you can't be everything to everyone.
Exactly. I mean, I can say this when it's my own turn. I am hesitant as anybody else to share it. Having somebody guide you through it, having somebody give you courage through it makes a difference. And
Right.
that's what I am there for. Don't hesitate. Share whatever you have and then we'll filter it. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, we will keep that. Whatever makes you feel a little uncomfortable, we'll keep that also. Whatever scares you a lot, we'll reach that stage very soon. Like we have
Right.
an
We'll put
entire
that on the back
business.
burner for the moment, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we just need to get used to getting a little uncomfortable each day, and then you'll be there. You will look like an extrovert while being an introvert.
Oh, that is so fascinating. Thank you so much for sharing that, Seema. I mean, gosh, we could talk a lot about this because it's so true. What you say, introvert and extrovert, and how the response is different. And I think if with the audience, that's listening, hey, let us know: are you an introvert or an extrovert? Or do you have parts of you that are introverted and other parts that are extroverted? Because I think we have a combination of both. I can go back into my childhood when I started school. I mean, I was an extrovert as a kid. I was, oh, you name it. I was out there, anything and everything, and a little daredevil, you call it, right? And then when I started school, all of a sudden, the things that I did or said or knew, I was being made fun of, I was teased, and all of a sudden I found myself going introverted, right? And I didn't know that that's what it was. Now they call it bullying. Back then it was just the way it was, right?
Yes, yes.
That was a long time ago. But growing up and going through all the grades and stuff, I would have to say that I spent probably 80% of my time throughout the school day from grade 1, because we didn't have kindergarten in a parochial school, so grade 1 to probably the start of my senior year. And then I'm not sure what caused the switch, but all of a sudden, that little extrovert me and that little big, I shouldn't say little, that big little rebel just came out like there was no tomorrow. And boom, I'm telling you, it was so, I don't know, it was just a change. There was a major change. And then going to college for a year, and then started working, and as my life progressed. But again, I think we find ourselves in different situations, different times of our life where we may be more introverted and more extroverted. So thinking back, go back in a time when were you ever an extrovert? And what little piece of that extrovert was it? And start kind of developing, because I think we all develop one direction or another, because I don't think we're born that way, but because of circumstances and events that take place in your life, you withdraw, or you really rebel, outwardly. We have those two extremes. Would you find that to be true in a lot of cases with the people that you're dealing with?
Um, Frankly, not.
Okay.
Introverts are, there are a variety of people that I will admit. There are some who are who need that, not big crowds, but some people interaction on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But they also need that solitude on a daily basis. So they are ambiverts, I think. So that's like the middle ground. And then there are extremes. I know of a person who I used to follow, and she would be best friends with everybody she spoke to. And it amazed me because to feel that kind of feeling for somebody, I'd have had to spend a lot of time
Right.
knowing about that person. That doesn't come easily to me. It doesn't matter how great of the person in front of me is,
Right.
how warm and welcoming they are, but for me to feel that way, I won't. It's not easy. So that's why I am an introvert and that lady is an extrovert, because everybody's best friends.
Right.
Literally everybody, and not just in words. It's in her attitude. You can see like she would get energized. She would light up as the conversation ended, not get drained. She would
Yeah.
calm down. She would bump up at the end of it. I would listen to her podcasts. So that itself shows that she needs people. She cannot be, it doesn't matter what kind of conversation. She
Right.
has to keep talking to people. She's an extrovert. She's a full-on extrovert. So there are ranges of people. Yes, under circumstances, depending on what's going on, as an introvert, you still take on the role of a leader because there was nobody else doing it. It's
Right.
not that introverts cannot lead. It's just that it takes so much energy. It's not worth it. But if somebody is not doing their job well, they won't hesitate to stand up and talk to everybody and lead. So it's not a single way. There's no single
Right.
box in which you can put each person into.
Well, and again, that goes back into that personal who you are,
Yes,
and embrace. Doesn't matter what it is, embrace who you are, and that's kind of what this show is all about: being that best you that you can be. What is it that you can do every day to move yourself one step further into becoming the whole personality and design your own life and your own world and where you want to be and how you interact, right?
absolutely.
So, Seema, if you had one word of advice to give the audience today, what would that be?
Hmm. You don't have to change yourself to get success. Be yourself and figure out how you can change your attitude towards the things that make you think that, oh, maybe if I was a certain way, I would see success. It's your attitude that needs to change, not you.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And that's very wise words because it is true. It's your attitude, it's the attitude, it's the mindset that makes the changes. Don't be something that you're not. Be true to yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you again so much for being on the show, Seema. This was a very interesting conversation. I enjoyed it a lot. And you really put a lot of light on that introvert, and some of the struggles and how an introverted mind, really thinks differently than an extrovert and how to help overcome. So keep up the great work, what you're doing. I think it's awesome. And thank you so much for being on the show because, as you said, that's another step up, right? And that's what that leadership is all about. So thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Beverly. Thank you for having me here.
It was great, and thank you for the great information. So now it's time to say, go out there, be that best you that you can be today. Why? Because Seema and I are going to be the best we that we can be. And we'll see you all on the next show. What?